All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for our second best of 5 of the night. This one's going to be Flash Lux going up against another one of our new teams, NC Foxes, coming out of Challenger. And they were one of the more dominant teams in the Challenger bracket. Only losses that they suffered were the hands of GC Busan and LW Red, two of the other teams that have joined us here in Apex Season 4.
Yeah.
But how will they fare against the relegation kings that are Flash Lux?
Well, there's no relegation tournament anymore, so in a way, Flash Lux faces some similar promotion tournament-esque opponents here. Is if there was a promotion tournament, they'd be in it, that's for sure. And of course, they'd be facing off against the Foxes very likely in said tournament. This is one of the easier opponents that Flash Lux has had in group stages. I feel like if you can't beat the best of the challengers here, then it's a really rough time. I mean, we're talking about a team that has struggled in every season. They've been in all 3 seasons of Apex, now the 4th, to get out of the group stage. So they've got some strong individual talent. Fleta, of course, the player that comes to mind more than anybody else. Vale, decent on the Tracer, we've seen in the past. But the team coordination has always been shut down by other stronger teams. They never necessarily have easy groups. I feel like this is the best chance they've had since Season 1.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, but we have to see how they're going to prove themselves against NC Foxes, because if they don't pick up the victory here, then I think that their hopes really start rapidly dwindling. Because obviously, you take a look at Group B, Kongdu Panthera going to be the favorites to make it out in that first seed. Then you have Kongdu Uncia as well, who suffered a loss but didn't look completely awful, I suppose, as opposed to Season 3 where it just really seemed like they piled everything into Panthera and kind of abandoned Uncia. But if NC Foxes can show up with a victory against Flash Lux, then suddenly they might become the favorite to be that second spot to make it out of Group B into the round of 8. So Flash Lux needs to show up right here, right now, if they want to inspire us with that thought, I guess, that they could actually make it into the round of 8 and not be in the bottom.
We don't know if Foxes or Uncia are the stronger team yet, but you would have to assume that either way, if you can't beat the Foxes, you're going to have trouble against Uncia as well. Yeah. Defeating Panthera seems to be an impossibility for Flash Lux, just if we speak reasonably. The Flash Lux are a team that often is built around their DPSs being stars. Vale getting the back line, Fleta going over there with the Pharah play that he's so famous for, also very decent soldier as well. We'll see if they can shine tonight, but I think, to be honest with you, Achilleos, based on what I've seen of the Foxes and Challengers, I would actually say that it's not actually them that are the underdogs. I think it's Flash Lux that I would put as the underdogs in this best of 5.
I mean, we got really excited for the likes of Fleta and Vale after the last promotion tournament that they played in. They were very good. They helped Flash Lux requalify yet again for Apex, so it was the 3rd season in a row for them, now 4th. But then when it came down to the actual season itself, they did not perform. It wasn't just Fleta and Vale against the world. It was actually Fleta and Vale sort of crumbling under the pressure in their games, so it's not like they were even standing out and the rest of the team was playing poorly around them. Overall, the entire unit of Flash Lux was just suffering heavily in their matches. So we need to see if they can bounce back from that, if they can go back to that level of performance that we saw from them during that last promotion tournament. And like you said before, this kind of feels like one since they're going up against the NC Foxes. So maybe that'll be enough to go ahead and draw that power out of them. Let's see what happens as we go ahead and meet the players.
Overwatch Apex Season 4, energized by Hot 6. Round Robin. Today's matchup, Flash Lux, NC Foxes.
There you go, Flash Lux and NC Foxes taken to the stage. First time for NC Foxes, and it's the first time in a while for Flash Lux. Have not seen these guys, but have undergone some changes. We recognize some familiar faces.
Yeah.
And names as well on that roster.
Sure.
Oberon, new tank player. Actually, Tarpon from BK Stars had a name swap after BK Stars kind of dissipated as an organization. The players scattered to the wind.
Yeah.
He came over, joined FlashLux, and Coma as well, joining in formerly of Runaway.
And another interesting story is Ikino and Hyuk are two former FlashLux players, so they're actually going to be potentially in this series defeating former teammates here. So exciting to see how that shakes up, as there's always extra emotions. As we talked about the Ty Dolla story earlier, he didn't end up getting subbed in, as it was a very clean sweep for the Afrika Freaks Blue. But it's always weird to play against your former teammates in a high-stakes match like this one. We'll head into it, though, and see if they can make a better story than they have in their history, though. I'm talking about FlashLux, 3-8 in Season 1. Season 2, 1-9. And in Season 3, they didn't take a single map. They went out in 4th place of their group, 0-9. You know, there's only up from here when you talk about FlashLux. And unfortunately for FlashLux fans, the identity for FlashLux is the team that you hope you're in the same group as in the round of 16 to pick up the points. I mean, we're talking about a record of 4-26 career Apex. They make it into the tournament every single time, but it's the last stop on the list for them because they just can't break through that barrier, get out of the group, or really even take a series.
Yeah, I mean, the only victory that these guys have ever had in the history of Apex was versus Rhinos Gaming Titan. And even then, it was a 3-2 victory, so it went all the way to game number 5. And then the only other time they picked up a map was one map victory versus Fnatic when they were here during Season 2. So it is not a very good record for FlashLux, but perhaps with these newer additions to the roster, it could turn things around for them. They have a nice support in Coma and a decent tank in Tarpon joining in.
Yeah, this is a solid lineup for sure. I think that Coma will impress on the Lucio, and Fleta, again, here he is. He's the star DPS. Look for flashy plays on the Pharah, good soldier accuracy, and high chance we do see Vale bring out the Doomfist. He's always been so good at getting those backline picks on the Tracer, so you have to imagine he'll very likely be the Doomfist player for FlashLux as we move into this.
Could very well be. Let's see what NC Foxes are going to be able to do. Again, very strong record in Challenger, so I'm expecting some pretty decent play from these guys, since FlashLux might as well be a Challenger team.
Interesting to note is Rhea is listed as a tank player, and he's the one who sits in the captain's chair to the top. Normally that's reserved for Lucio, so we'll see exactly what they use here in terms of play. As Sominsu is on the roster as well. He's sitting out, could be subbed in as flex support to come in to the roster. So we don't know exactly what comps they're going to run today, because what they saw in Challengers was on a different patch and a different meta. So I think today it's going to be a lot of feeling out for the Foxes, as it was for the Orcas early. We didn't know exactly what to expect, what we were going to see Geguri on every time, and it was not as often the Zarya, it was more the common diva, more than we expected.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that all the players aren't wearing sunglasses when their logo is a fox wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, what's up with that?
It doesn't match. It seems a bit disingenuous to me.
Well, we had the Alpha Predator, the Orca Whale, defeated earlier today. Will the Fox here be the successful animal of our Challenger team, Sekilios? That's what we're here to find out.
Fortunately, we're not having a battle between a fox and an orca. I feel like that's a bit one-sided.
I think it depends on where the fight takes place.
That's true. Is it on land? Then maybe the fox wins.
If a fox is on like a small iceberg, like in the ocean, I don't know. Maybe it's like that's the evenest battleground you could get at. I don't know.
I don't know. This is some like Pokemon conversation we're getting ready to start.
Sorry, Achilles. You're casting with Wolf.
All right. I'm just surrounded by animals, it seems.
All right. Lijiang is going to be our control map here. So no massive preferences on either team, of course, in terms of control. I don't want to read out FlashLux win rates on any of the map types because, as you might imagine, they're pretty abysmal. But this is actually NC Fox's best map type of control, so looking to start things off with a bang.
You can just very easily assume that if it's a map, FlashLux have lost on it. Unless it's a newer map, like Horizon Lunar Colony. Then you never know. But if it's a map that's been in the pool for a while, it's a safe bet.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you that one. We'll see if they take us to Horizon if we get to that third map and it's their map choice. Looks like, honestly, when you look at the Foxes, they look a little bit nervous, I have to say. Much more comfort in the booth for FlashLux. This is their 4th time in this rodeo, in this studio, to play in Apex. They've never advanced, but they've sat in the chairs and played the game in front of the fans many a time.
All right, well, it's been a while since we've seen FlashLux. Let's see how much they've improved since their end of run in Season 3 of Apex. And let's see what NC Foxes can offer us, one of the newer teams here into Apex Season 4. Let's dive onto our first map in this best of 5. It's Lijiang Tower.
I get it.
It's a good day of getting it.
Gonna get it.
공급기 충전 중입니다.
All right, there we go. Got one right at the end. Newer team need to build up the fan base there for the Foxes. We'll see how it goes as this season progresses for these guys. Because if they start off with a win, very well could have those fans spilling over into their favor.
Sure. They definitely have the larger fan base here in the audience over FlashLux right now, and FlashLux is just going to have to stop disappointing Achilles. No other way to put it. Sashin will be starting here on the Pharah, but it's actually Fleta who sticks with the ground, and interestingly, Veil on Soldier with Fleta on the Tracer.
Maybe his job to go ahead and try to get rid of Sassin here from this air position. He's going to be firing down, looking for a couple shots, and we're actually going to have a pause as the rocket connects. Kino seeming like he's got a bit of an issue.
Yeah, we'll hope that gets resolved soon. Obviously, when you're dealing with pharmacy comps, making sure that you have no issues whatsoever is of critical importance. We'll see if it's an audio issue. We had one of those earlier today. We'll get the graphic to confirm very shortly here. Pretty even battle. We don't really know exactly who is in the lead until the fight ends. I mean, it's about as even as you can get it, so we can't talk advantages, disadvantages here, but
yeah, there's absolutely nothing going on right now.
Here we
But it
go.
seems like there's also not an issue anymore, so we have that taken care of. So we will just go ahead and resume, see who is going to be taking the lead here. But Rhea is going to be the first one that goes down, and Neko as well will be killed off as he goes off the side of the map. So Foxes not going to have as strong of a start as they would have liked, so FlashLux will go ahead and get this early advantage in that first cap.
Yep, will be the first cap very swiftly with those staggered spawns there. Not entirely sure what happened with the pause. Unfortunate for the Foxes, but they're going to dive right back in here, tossing Pumple into the fray.
Oh, what a name that is. Koma being quite elusive here. Sassin tries to lock him down with the rockets. In the meantime, Fleta getting Rhea out of that mech yet again. Sassin tries to push forward, but Veil just takes him right out of the sky, and it's just FlashLux having these kills spilled over into their favor. They'll get rid of Pumple in midair, and we'll go ahead and maintain control over the point.
Getting those kills here at the end, going to make the next push a little bit further away, but Neko is nearly at the res angle here where he could use this to try to force a fight, which could give Sashin the rocket barrage he wants, but it's going to be Pumple yet again who dives in. The coordination on this dive, though, is certainly not even, I mean, who else was even with him? Like, this was definitely a pretty crazy jump in from him there. He built enough for the Primal Rage, so maybe it was an eco leap. Maybe we'll coin that phrase, but I mean, otherwise, the coordination is certainly not there.
We are not starting Eco Leap. Eco Leap is not going to be a thing. That is just a way to cover up bad play. Veil going to get jumped on, but the Transcendence comes out to keep him alive, and now has that tag visor, looking for Sassin up in the air. Gets pushed to the side, booped over the wall. Just enough with an angle to go ahead and get that sightline. Sassin will be brought back to life by Neko with the res, and Veil going to get popped off as Foxes look for the retake, dropping down that sound barrier, trying to push in onto the point.
Really good ult usage here, and it looks like it is going to be enough to secure this point for now.
So knockout of the mech will go down. Flip still has not happened here for the side of the Foxes. Oberon leaping back in, manages to stay alive with a sliver of HP.
I mean, that was, what, like 2 health?
Oh,
and
my lord.
he actually dealt with the barrage perfectly with that barrier, too, almost causing Sashin to kill himself there. They used everything, all they've got. Now they don't have anything more. They have to fight long enough to get another res, potentially, to get the flip here, but it looks all but over here for our first point.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb coming down, looking for the pop out there. Rhea will get knocked out of the mech, and Pummel is also very low. Fleta just dashing around, wreaking havoc, looks for the kill in on to the enemy Lucio. They'll be able to take him down with the help of Oberon in the end, but not before he dies. But still going to be overtime forced here as the Foxes just cannot leave the point. Neko will just go ahead, bring back Hyuk with the res as Oberon falls, and this could be their window. Still do have Wiso on the side of Flashlux to maintain the delay. But with Shu going down, seems like that might just be the flip.
I mean, they threw everything. They threw the kitchen sink at this push, and they forced it to work. 2 solo reses, but that was what really helped them win the first part of that battle. The second part, obviously bringing Hyuk back in for the extra sustain, means that they will have Pumpel and Rhea nearly at ultimates here for the follow-up push from Flashlux, but still a little bit worried again by the Winston play we've seen so far. Look at this angle, though.
Manages to get Shu, and that's just going to stop this wraparound from the side of Flashlux. Dawson going low, has to take back up to the skies, but nearly has the barrage. Does he want to pop it? No, just goes ahead and gets rid of Kolma. He's single-handedly gotten rid of both supports and knocked Wiso out of the mech.
I mean, you can't get much more value out of a Pharah than that. I mean, perfect angles there. Wiso not absorbing the damage. Vale wasn't looking up. You would have to say, and they just simply did not expect that. So literally 1v6 from the sky, ruined a push, delayed the second, and he still holds on to, as you say, the rocket barrage. He didn't need it because with the first pick, the push was already over. He's got it ready here, and he's going to take the same approach.
See if he can find the angle. So has to be worried about Wiso with the defense matrix. He's looking for the back angle, finds the shot in onto Oberon just before that Transcendence hits. Now dropping it down, defense matrix, a bit too late to save Vale's life, but Wiso will be able to charge through and get the kill, but it's still Foxes coming out on top, and they're going to have the ult advantage after all of this as well. Echo has the res available, not going to use it, as they are just still quite happy to hold on to this one, 75%.
They used Transcendence too. Flashlux said they were looking for the big 6 push to try to capture this. Unfortunately, though, they just get caught at the gate. They still have this massive amount of ults, but as you say, self-destruct defensively. Pumpel's got Primal and the res. It's going to be so tough to make this work. They lead, though, with the sound barrier.
Go jumping in there. So far, the ultimate's being held from the side of the Foxes. Rhea going to get popped out of the mech, throws down that self-destruct just to try to find a kill. Gets one on to Vale of all people, and Shu will also be taken down by Hyuk. Self-destruct right in the entryway will claim Sasin's life and knock Rhea out of the mech, so this could be the window of opportunity here for Flashlux, who are just a second away, a fraction of a second away from getting the flip in overtime. But they need to get the Foxes off the point.
Vale has tag. He's not using it, though, even with the kill on the mech.
But Oberon is doing so much work here. 2 kills with the Primal Rage, but they need to get rid of that Lucio.
The res!
Going to be jumping out. The res coming through. 4-man res coming down by Neko, just completely shutting out everything that Flashlux tried to do, but the answer back with 2 more Swift Pills. Now 3 Assassin goes down, only losing out onto Vale, and Rhea is out of the mech yet again. Kalma taking out that Diva, but they still do not have the flip. Pulse Bomb comes through, takes out Pumpel, and that is just going to be it in the end. As they pick up the round, one hell of a fight. That res was absolutely massive, but just not enough.
I feel like the Neko Sashin duo, I felt like I was watching them play. Forget everybody else. The low impact jump ins, the dive was really weak at first, and obviously when you're not running the full dive comp with the Winston and you really only have the Diva that could go in with you with the comp they chose, it's realistically you're going to have a bad time when you dive in like that. But when they found the angle here, we're going to see an amazing res. It's obviously not worth much at the end because even when you res, you're in bad position, everybody dies. But let's talk back about Sashin on the Pharah. He found the angles consistently to take Vale out, take Kolma out of the fight, bought so much time. I think that's really the big takeaway for NC is we thought maybe Fleta was going to be the Pharah we were most impressed by in this Specify, but maybe expectations should be changed now.
Already, just going to be a bit of a fight here, straight up onto the control point. It's an all-out brawl as they try to knock Wiso out of the mech. Will be able to do so, and will be the first one going down. Rhea almost being answered for, but does get healed back up and maintain that mech for himself, and it might just be the first cap here for the side of the Foxes as Flashlux tries to regroup.
It's going to be the same exact composition for Flash Lux as they ran on our previous map. So as we move into control tower here, no changes whatsoever, but it's the Sombra and Genji duo here for the Foxes. The same Neko and Genji, the same Neko and Sasha that did so much for them on the previous point. Yet again, they are the ones who are carrying these fights.
Yeah, very swift EMP there for Neko. Just transitions into multiple kills for there. On to Flash Lux, just halting them and just trying to delay them as much as possible from getting in onto the point.
Yeah, and they have Sasha with the Dragon Blade now. It looks like he wants to try to drop down with it potentially here on the high ground with Pumple. This is the better dive comp. Oh, pick onto Shu already.
Doesn't even need the stick, just throws it onto the wall and Shu can't get away. Just a bit too slow there, doesn't have the Transcendence. Down by 20%. So he will fall yet again. Oberon also going down. Nearly has the Primal Rage, so doesn't need to go in for any more of those eco leaps.
That's right. And the eco leaps feel a lot more efficient.
God damn it. This is going to become a thing somehow.
But look, when you have a Genji to dive with you, it's a lot easier to actually make those flashy plays. That was a weird recall if we've ever seen one. Fleta will get the pick, however.
He just went somewhere that I've never seen before, just off into the distance, and then comes back to join us back on Earth. Sasson looking for an angle perhaps to use his Dragon Blade, but might be holding onto it now that the sound barrier is down there from the side of Flash Lux. He goes dangerously low, tries to get the crawl up the wall, but will be taken down. Might just see that first flip here for the side of Flash Lux as the delay is attempted by Kino, but he has to recall out now. Boop back off the point will be the flip, but 84% was accrued for the Foxes on just the one take.
And they have the old lead, and the EMP is such an X factor. When you have a Dragon Blade out like this, you can do so much with it. If you can kill Oberon before he can Primal Rage, you can absolutely get the flip. That's going to be one of the ways they could try to make the fight happen. Looking for squishes in the backline, though.
Throws it down, but everybody's piled up, so it doesn't transition into an immediately kill in onto Shu, but with the Dragon Blade, it makes it that much easier. And that bomb will kill Hyuk off screen, but yeah,
that's the X factor I was talking about. If you get into a choke point like that, you got a Dragon Blade and no one can use abilities, then suddenly not only do you get the flip, but you hold on to the self-destruct as well. Hyuk didn't have the sound barrier either way. We are going to see that Primal Rage used for the contest here.
He's at 5 health when he does this, by the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely absurd by Sasson. Comes up with the kills. That's the flip. Now we're into overtime. We still going to get popped out of the mech first and foremost. Now the self-destruct thrown in by Rhea, looking for a kill. Not going to find anything, but can make it back in. No, but actually Oberon with the Primal Rage is able to go ahead and kill her. Looking for the retake. We have it, but it's still 28% here for Flash Lux. So if they get this take, they have to hold it the entire time. Veil jumping down onto the low ground, goes dangerously low, but has the Lucio there. Koma healing him back up, and they will get the flip.
Really important. The hack onto Wiso meant that he couldn't self-destruct to remake. They still won the fight, but they're going to have now the self-destruct still hold on to it. The support ultimates are almost ready. They're not running the dive comp with the Genji, so the support ultimate's not as important, you could argue, but still in good position now is Flash Lux.
Fleta nearly finding that assassination kill onto Kino. At the headshot, but just not quite enough damage. So reacts a bit too quickly. Neko going low, drops down the EMP with 15 HP remaining. And now Shu is going to go ahead and pop that Transcendence as a response. Sound barrier from Hyuk. They want to take the fight right here. Foxes want to go ahead, find the victory, tie things up, and take us to Night Market. 2 kills already coming through now. Sasson yet again with the Dragon Blade drawn out. Let's see what he can get this time around. Doesn't quite kill off Oberon, but Kino is there to scoop up the kill in the end, so it's still working out in their favor. 72% there for Flash Lux, but this will be the flip. That's going to be overtime. Can they get back to contest this is going to be the question.
Koma needs to get into position if he wants that to happen. Fleta is going to buy time now. Here comes the sound barrier. This is going to be their last-ditch effort. They have no other ultimates to use. Oberon nearly with the Primal Rage, but he's not ready yet.
They drop this one in, but speaking of Primal Rage, it's going to be Pumple popping his as Hyuk goes ahead and gets the boot kill in onto Veil. So already things going quite nicely here for the side of Foxes, but a trade back comes through onto Kino, getting rid of that pesky Tracer, but Neko yet again with another EMP helps take down Shield. They'll get Fleta, but Sasson dies as Oberon tries to rejoin the fight, just leaping around the point, trying to keep this one in contention, but he will be taken out by Rhea in the end, and now it's all on Wiso and Koma to try to keep this one going, but they're getting shoved back. They're going dangerously low, and this might just be the one fight, but of all people, it's actually Wiso delaying here for the side of Flash Lux in the Baby Diva form.
Okay, here comes the sound barrier, though. No one's able to get back onto the point here to mount the defense. Koma is taken out now. Wiso finally, before he can remake, is taken out as well. It looks like this is going to be the beginning of the end here for Flashlux on Control Tower.
Yeah, Fleta has the recall, only gets a little bit of HP back, but now Vale joining in, but he's just so strictly outnumbered, but the Transcendence will come down right before the EMP hits, so they're still staying in the fight, and it keeps on going. Shu will go down in the end. There we go, that's enough. Wiso not onto the point. Will confirm the plummet on that overtime meter as NC Foxes get the round, they tie us up, and they will be forcing us on the night market.
There's definitely some weird self-destruct usage on the side of Rhea, but overall they were able to make it happen with the burst damage when they had the EMPs. Flashlux had 2 supports, so obviously that's why they were able to out-heal a lot of that damage coming in from the Foxes when Sombra is trying to finish off those targets. Koma is such a great Lucio player. His sound barrier almost allowed Flashlux to get the staggered deaths coming together into a 6-man for the defense, but wasn't enough. It was kind of a messy fight, I feel like you could say. There's not much you look at that fight and say, well, the big point of this all was one moment. There were definitely some mechanical errors on both sides, but the double healing, not enough for Flashlux as we head into our final point of Lijiang.
Sasson yet again back over onto the Sparrow. Because of a shot to go ahead and knock himself away. And look for a decent angle. Take to the ground for now. Almost gets clipped by those Helix rockets, but will be staying safe. And now looks for the flank. So he can try to get in onto Shu. Lands 2, but can't quite get the kill.
These angles have been really impressive, understanding the geography of the map and the movements of Flashlux to punish with the rockets every time.
Punish. Oberon going in for one of those eco leaps will get taken down as Koma answers one onto Hyuk, but they're still just trading back. Those, just the one support there, going to be available for the side of Flashlux, and NC Foxes are looking to take advantage of this window of opportunity to try to get the cap, and they will be able to do so.
Grabbing the first cap obviously so important to build percentage, but I don't think they'll necessarily hold on to it for very long. They lost the fight, got the cap, but that's only temporary if they don't lose, or sorry, if they lose this next one.
Seems like, yeah, this might just be a very early flip. You know, trying to delay as long as he possibly can. We'll lock them up for a bit as they jump back in. Hyuk getting knocked away, almost gets knocked off the map yet again, but can't quite make it back to the big health pack. Will get taken down, but it's still a decent delay coming through. Pumple just trying to buy as much time here for his team as humanly possible. Now being rejoined by Rhea. Attack visor out by Vale, goes dangerously low and just gets taken out before he can drop that biotic field. Will fall, and now a sound barrier is in for Flashlux right as they get the retake, so this should help them hold. Assassin goes low, takes to the skies, has the barrier, but Fleta, or the barrage rather, but Fleta will just go ahead and take him out from the ground.
Oberon is doing some real work here, but this has been expensive for Flashlux to hold on to this point. Transcendence comes out. I mean, it's a bloodbath here. Throw an ult economy out of the window for these two teams. We're fighting till the sun comes up. It feels like it will be a one fight for the Foxes at the end of the day. All ults pretty much thrown on the table with the exception of Sashin, who holds onto the rocket barrage. And again, he's the king of this team, it feels like right now, always finding the angles to disrupt the approaches of Flashlux, and yet again, he does just that. Oh, looking for the kill here on the soldier, gonna get it.
Discord Orb, 2 rockets, no problem, goes ahead, takes him out. Only can get rid of that pesky defense matrix. Could find an angle to open up with this barrage, but has to show respect to Wiso for now.
It almost feels like Vale, it's against his religion to attack the Pharaoh or something, because he is simply just never able to knock her out of the sky. It's always Sashin who's hunting the soldier, and if that's your case, it's going to be a bad time. As Pharaoh's just always uncontested. Every time we have his first view, no one's shooting at him. It's partially because he's got good angles, but Vale is just not chasing him down.
But right there, he couldn't do anything. The Transcendence came through from Shu, and they all just wrap around the backside, and that leads to 3 members dying because Sasson can't open up with anything at all. Tries to jump in, ends up killing himself. One more shot is what he needs to get rid of Shu, but the point blank radius on that explosion just takes him down. But in the meantime, Foxes still have a lot of time to work with. 95%, nearly getting it into overtime as Flashlux gets to flip at 26.
Okay, the barrage, he's held onto it for so long. We had a pretty decent one where he snuck up behind them on our first point of the garden. So here on Night Market, we'll see if he can have that amazing barrage yet again after we do see that expiration of the defense matrix from Wiso. We watch this Tracer duel here for a moment. Looks like Kino wins it, doesn't get the kill.
Dangerously close to having that one, though. Now looking for Fleta from the side, almost takes him up. The sound barrier comes through from Koma right at the last second, but Shu is still going to be the first one to fall as Pummel pops that Primal Rage. and just goes ham. Now, Angry Monkey coming through from the side of Flashlux's is over on Pops' zone. Neko going down off screen, and Kino is looking for a target, as is Sassen, who is still holding on to this barrage.
I mean, he just doesn't want to use it, and I don't know if they'll necessarily need it. They get the flip here. No one's nearby. They're going to have one last-ditch contest. That's why he held onto it so long. They also have the self-destruct.
LeBron makes his way back in, but he gets taken out first and foremost. Now Wiso getting jumped on. Sassen looking for a little bit more. Has already used that barrage. Now has that back angle, but the Transcendence is going to go ahead and nullify the majority of the damage coming through, but they still managed to pop Veil as they chase forward. Coma going down as well, and that might just be it. Fox is just trying to get everybody out. Wiso will be able to tag in for one last second, but in the end, they will go ahead, claim Night Market and Lijiang Tower.
So, I guess he used the barrage to make sure that the D.Va defense matrix was on cooldown so that he could just kill everyone with left clicks. I mean,
sure,
we'll
go with that.
He destroyed them there after there was so much resources designed to kill him when the barrage was active and when the defense matrix was up. But it was actually the play of Pumple, the Winston, who actually got the kills even after the block was there. The Transcendence was down, but once it was finished, once it had expired, that's when Pumple basically got all the kills there, and it was the lighting up of the enemies from Sashin. Sashin in Korean is a word that means the god of death, and I feel like it's an apt name for this Pharah player who somehow, some way, Veil has been able to deal with. And I think it's two factors. Veil is not necessarily watching for him or trying to pick him out of the sky, and on the other hand, he's taking such weird approaches to how he's trying to attack. So it feels like kind of a surprise for Flashlucks. Every time he comes in an angle they don't expect, they have to regroup, and it ruins a lot of the pushes, which is why when Foxes got the first cap and we had to see Flashlucks slow push onto the point, they were so annoyed by these barrages on two of the maps there, Garden and of course there at the end. So I like what we're seeing here from Sashin quite a bit. But as I say that, I guess it's time for Summings too.
really good. I really enjoyed it. It was a very good, rollover of Sassen's performance and how great he was doing. So fantastic job, Wolf. But you just got debated out the ass because Summons is coming in now. So we're gonna go ahead and throw up for the 7-minute break as we get ready to see that swap come through as they get ready to go over onto Hybrid. This will be Flashlux's decision. We'll see what happens when we come back from the break, so don't go anywhere, guys.
인류는 늘 시험에 들지. 갈등과 전쟁의 열기 속에서 인류는 진화한다. 모든 투쟁 우리를 더 강하게 할지니. 쓰러지는 자는 잊혀질 것이고 일어서는 자의 이름은 영원토록 기억되리라.
잠깐만. 왜? 누가 뻥낀 거 같은데?
나 아니야, 나 진짜 아니야.
빵구 소리 안 났어요? 정말 빵구 소리 안 났어요? 맞죠?
누구야? 누구야? 나 진짜 아니야. 나 진짜 아니야.
야, 누구야?
내 빵구 소리는 진짜 엄청 크게 나.
형 저는 소화를 다 시키고 왔어요 막 화장실에서.
누구야? 태켄 형이에요? 다 했는데?
나 진짜 누구야?
누구야?
아니 누가 들었는데?
임덕구.
어디서?
나랑 원혜병이랑. 야, 떡급식. 와.
저 형이 그거 하지도 그렇지 않았어요. 난 이래서 지금 아까 팔.
제가 내가 억울해. 빵구 소리가 아니라. 이런 소리일 수도 있고.
그럴 수도 있죠.
아니야.
내가 생각 안 하나 했다.
이거 어떻게 의자에서 뽀뽀 소리가 날 수 없어?
뭐지 나 진짜 아닌데.
얘에서 저희는.
우리 방금 어떻게 켜?
야,
나 아니야.
이 빵구였어 소리가.
내 건 더 크게 나. 이거 열린 마이크다 팬 났다 이거. 아 그러니까 방귀 써.
아니야, 니가 맞아.
소리가 방귀 써요. 아.
을 깠는데 들릴 정도면 니가밖에 없어.
그건 인정. 그건 진짜.
뭔 소리야 방귀 아니 엉덩이 힘들지도 않았어.
저기
아 부들부들하다 진짜.
아프리카 방귀 쓰다. 그중에 앞으로.
아 부들부들하다. 아. 평소에 좀 끼지 말든가.
인정.
그래. 빵구
인정.
끼지 말든가. 맨날 자기 전에 빵구 한 10번 이상 끼고 자는 사람이.
10번 넘어가고 한 5번이지.
야 원래 가해자는 몰라 피해자만 알아.
야 원래 방구 안 끼면 잠이 안 와.
너만 그래.
너만 그래.
아니 왜 알았어.
아니.
빵구 얘기하니까 빵구 나올 것 같아. 속이 좀 부글부글하다 지금.
껴도 돼.
그만합시다.
괜찮아.
여기까지. 이제 방귀게 그만.
와 나만 손해 봤네.
이게 사실이잖아.
사실이긴 한.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Minute left on the clock for this roster swap out. Sasin will be getting replaced by
Somin Su.
Somin Su. So we'll see how he's going to play.
Well,
'Cause now they're committed to this. They can't swap him back.
So, I mean, I had my love song for Sashin before he was immediately subbed out, but I saw him actually backstage, and it looks to be that he was pulled because he was insanely nervous in comms. And so, despite having a great performance, I guess when you're freaking out a little bit, you're playing your first televised match like this, then maybe you get a little bit stressed out, you got to get pulled. So that's what subs are for. So, I mean, Su, the flex DPS, but he has played support too, so we'll see what he ends up running here, as we saw mostly the Dragon Blades and the Pharah out of Sashin, so I have to expect he'll be playing a similar hero pool fitting into the 6-man.
That would be my guess here, but this does also give Flashlux that much more time to go ahead and convene with their coach and figure out what the next strategy is going to be, including their map pick. As we will be moving over on to Hybrid. Saw Kings Row from the first series, going to be Kings Row yet again.
Big surprise. For some reason, this map very balanced. Everybody likes to play on it. I mean, I myself am a big hater. No, I love this map. We're going to see very likely a lot of that 2-2-2, but some of the Phalanx comp with Zarya, Reinhardt, and the defensive for the DPS. We saw earlier Arhan on the Hanzo, and that's something that we saw the Korean national team play, and you know, we've seen it in a few matches here and there, not just for the Sonic Arrow. But I think that the Freaks are having a little bit of fun with that one too. I don't know if we're really going to see that, but if we do, I think it's probably going to be Fleta who brings it out. He's got a very vast hero pool, so something that Flashlux may be looking to run, perhaps the Junkrat as well.
We'll see what they're going to do here. Kings Row, Flashlux, their selection, going to be looking to go ahead and tie things up with a 1-1 and extend this series, make it actually a series and not just have another 3-0 shutout. We'll see if Foxes can go ahead and move the match point as we go on to Kings Row, map number 2.
I get it.
Well, we get it, but it looks like we also might be getting a pause.
Yep. I will find out very shortly. It looks like it might be an issue with Wiso.
Or Shu, perhaps.
Or Shu.
So it might be another headset issue. Yep, there we go. Figure out the root of the problem.
We already outlined earlier that to hear sounds in this game is very important, and so warrants a pause here. Not even in the middle of the action, just as the map is loading, so can hardly even call it a pause, as we were not even in game, Achilles.
This is true. Well, that's a pause. It's a pause from the action because, well, if nothing else, we got plenty of that from Lijiang Tower.
Certainly, it was definitely a lot of scrappy fighting there. Last man standing, battle royale style. Last man standing, their team caps the point.
Well, yeah, this is actually just Flashlux and NC Foxes are communicating with Blizzard, and they're doing a nice little promotion game to get ready for the deathmatch mode that's going to be coming out. So that's exactly what it was.
Definitely. That's exactly the idea. These two are going to be the ones invited for sure if there's a deathmatch mode added to the game. So obviously, we're going to just kind of take this time to pause here. I do worry for both teams in a sense. Like, I feel like the next map could look even scrappier because coordination is not as required, I feel like, in a lot of ways on Control, because you kind of do these pushes over and over and over again to try to get a flip and get a team wipe. But it's more important on a map like Kings Row to not just win the fight, but to get into an angle that allows you to win the fight. It's not just a straight-up brawl on an area. There's tactical advantages for high ground, for example, and what do you give me that look for?
You say that it's not just going to be a brawl, but something tells me that it probably will be a brawl.
I mean, sure, but I think that the team that approaches the brawls more strategically will have an edge, and the defender will have an advantage if we have scrappy eco leaps and things like that again. So.
Oh dear. We're really just married to this term now, aren't we?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
I'm gonna tattoo eco leap right on my back, man.
All right, perfect. I can't wait to see it. That tweet should pop off. But yeah, we'll use it, but it's always going to be a bit facetiously.
Well, I don't think this is the real attack comp, but the defense comp starts to look more standard now with the switch off of the Reinhardt. We're going to see the Fleta Veil DPS duo. High ground defense, just like we saw from the Orcas earlier this evening on the very map that we find ourselves on here. And for attack, we'll find out in about 12 seconds what the Foxes want to run. Well, I have to imagine there's a pretty high chance they're going to keep running with the dive. Remember, Suminsu is subbed in, and he's actually going to be on the Doomfist here.
Yeah, that's what he's showing at the moment. It's a bit too late to go ahead and swap, so we'll be bringing this one out for us. See how he is going to be playing compared to what we saw from Sassen earlier on. For a back line, leaping forward, Seismic Slam not going to get the damage in and just shorts it on the charge, and he's going to go down first and foremost as Veil finds the kill, and he's just like, oh, darn it.
Gosh darn it.
I was so close.
They shouldn't have nerfed him. I would have gotten him pre-nerf.
Well, that's not going to be a good start.
That's the end of this first push. Obviously, the weakness of Doomfist is his limited range. Sure, he has high mobility, and it does quite a bit of damage when he gets onto his targets, but if he gets kited back, then, as we just saw, he gets picked off, and it might be a similar situation here.
Moving up onto the high ground, at least gets the rocket punch this time around, but it's not enough to knock Wiso out of that one. Finds it on Tacoma. There we go. That's looking more like a pro Doomfist. Comes up with a kill. Seismic Slam not going to get the connection, nor is the fist. He's doing a nice job of creating some distance away from the point here with the rest of his squad. So second tick will be coming through for the Foxes, and maybe even just the cap. We see that sleep in on the Veil, so Weasel has to jump down onto the low ground all by himself and will get taken out very swiftly. And yeah, that's just going to be it. So now 5 minutes, 13 seconds on the clock here for the Street Space for the Foxes. A very nice start.
Yeah, when you have that set up with your DPS and your Lucio in the, I don't know, what do you call that, little hallway up there where you fire down at the high ground, you are used to dealing with the dive of the Tracers, the Genjis to harass you up there. You have the Lucio that helps you escape, but when there's a Doomfist there and you don't see him coming, there's not a whole lot of time to react. Don't go, oh, I'm being shot at, I'll just get down here or I'll escape. Lucio's going to help me out. Doesn't quite work that way against the Doomfist.
Oh, well, Seismic Slam straight into the Meteor Strike coming through. Minsu dropping in, looking for the tanks. Not going to get a whole lot done with that one, however, but Koma still goes down off the backside of the fight. Seismic Slam forward helps get rid of Shu. So no supports available for the side of Flashlux. Payload not really moving at the moment, so the tank line of Flashlux still buying a decent amount of time as Weezo finally gets knocked out of the mech. Will get taken down eventually. They can get things moving, but that's already a minute off of the time bank.
Well, Sunmin Su's substitution here, at least in our first game where he's in it, it's going to be, I mean, sure, we saw the nerves from Sashin, but it looks like he's prepared and planned to be using this Doomfist here to great effect. Flashlux is going to switch up the comp. They're going to turtle up with the McCree variation of what we like to call the Phalanx, where you have these shields of protection for the solo DPS, and Vale is going to be that guy. We'll see if he can be protected now against this aggressive dive from the Doomfist.
Well, self-destruction in the back is going to go ahead and find a kill in onto Shu, so it's a good start for the Foxes, who might just keep pushing unhindered here into point B. And yeah, you can see Flashlux just looking to surrender this one out. Weezo's still playing forward, but the rest of the team, they started kiting back around the corner.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be stopped. There's just no way. And they're really just trickling deaths at this point. So, I mean, the idea against the Doomfist for sure was, okay, let's turtle up. It's going to make it tougher for him to dive in the anti-Doomfist comp. But the self-destruct threw a wrench into all of the gears because it came behind them. They couldn't turn the Reinhardt around quickly, and it's now Oberon switching back to the Winston. But really coordinated there from the Foxes.
For that multi-man Meteor Strike, we'll go ahead, toss this one down. Not quite going to be finding the kills, and actually gets popped immediately by that full energy Fleta, who also follows up in onto Kino, so both DPS members of the Foxes will be going down. Nearly get the kill on the Hyuk as well, but Flashlux will be able to go ahead and regain control over this payload for the moment as they finish off Pumple.
So this is super turtly the comp here. I mean, it's triple tank with Fleta now on the Zarya. You still only have Vale for DPS. You've got the double support and especially the Ana to make sure that the heals are real. It's going to be very difficult for the Doomfist to actually find kills, find picks against all this healing, and even to approach this heavy tank line. And I feel like it's going to, again, have to be Rhea with the self-destruct to start the engage, or perhaps a Primal Rage. We're long away from that for Pumple, but going to be tough for the approach here.
Well, Oberon getting it going in for one of those eco leaps. Going to see that Deadeye coming through, finds just the one on Kino, so not as much value as Vale would have liked, but at least does find a pick-off with that. His way back over towards the spawn as we see Weezo getting popped out yet again. Will get taken down. The payload is yet again advancing with 3.5 minutes just about remaining on the clock. Flashlux have to pile in for this one, and they only have the nano boost. Will be thrown down onto Oberon first and foremost. Try to buy themselves some time and get some damage in. He's got the Primal Rage as well to delay this a little bit longer as we see the self-destruct thrown out.
Great
Not getting any kills. Kills are there on the side of the Foxes, but Weezo throws his own, finds the answering too as Hyuk and Kino both go down.
Yeah, it was actually so important they delayed enough time for that self-destruct to come out. Meteor Strike not used here actually to survive. For Sunmin Su, and what looked like surely was that really nice zoning self-destruct was going to be the completion. The rollback begins here. Sunmin Su does have that Meteor Strike available. The only unfortunate thing for Foxes is that they use the Primal Rage, but they have every tool in the book to force this one in now, and they want to do it ASAP to ensure that good time bank.
Here we go, Transcendence thrown down by Neko, going to be answered by the sound barrier. Out from Coma, Meteor Strike into the back, looking for Shu, will be able to finish him off. We get the charge in onto that bubbled Fleta, but Minso is still able to go ahead and scoop up the kill in the end. Pops away onto Weezo, and that should be the completion here. 2 minutes, 11 seconds remaining. NC Foxes with a very nice push here on Kings Row.
You know, I actually start to feel like I understand why Rhea is in the captain's chair. Remember, historically in Apex, there have been some exceptions, but for the most part, that chair was reserved for the shot caller, who's very often the Lucio player. And unless he just likes to sit up top, you'd have to assume that that means he's making the calls. And if he is making these really sick calls, his self-destruct usage, both of them were really good. Had Flashlights not barely bought enough time there to stop the completion, we wouldn't have even seen Wiso self-destruct there coming out. But really good self-destruct usage, the coordination with the Meteor Strike for mobility, it's there for sure. And it's cool to see a Diva player as the shot caller for the Foxes because, you know, you're giving the protection to the DPSs, but you're also the one who's opening up the backline, allowing those Meteor Strikes to perhaps be better. And I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. And we were worried about this maybe being the all-out brawl, the melee here, but with Rhea making the calls on attack, it was really good coordination out of the Foxes, and that's why they have that 2-minute-plus bank of time to work with.
Yeah, and it started off a little bit wonky there from Minsu with the Doomfist, but by the end was instrumental to the Foxes' success on that push. So now just going to be changing things up a little bit at the moment. We'll see if they want to hold these picks as they have 35 seconds remaining, but seems like might just be the 2-2-2 coming through with Minsu over onto the Genji this time around. So similar mobility as far as his hero is concerned.
Yeah, and let's see if Fled is really going to be running the Sombra here on attack. We have seen it before, but I don't think that he'll stick with it. I think we should probably just wait a moment. Koma's going to do that scouting Sonic Arrow to find out if it's going to be the Reinhardt Zarya defense or the more common high ground soldier. It's neither, in fact, though, as you say, Suminsu is on the Genji. So it's defensive dive with Neko on the Ana. So this will be scouted now. And Fleta is holding on to that Sombra.
Yeah, we'll be moving forward with this one on the attack. So 2-2-2, the Sombra not going to be offering up quite as much damage as you might like for the 2-2-2, but already they're able to get a nice pick off there onto Pumple. So a good start for Flashlux as they keep moving forward, and Rhea's cutting back over towards the archway.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to zone this out. Yeah, I mean, Fleta is nowhere near the EMP, but I guess no EMPs required is the subtext on this one. They're going to go in for one last-minute contest. They don't really have a lot of tools, though.
They need to do something. It's nearly giving over this first point for free. It'd be a lot of time in the bank there for Flashlux to work with on the street space. They finally find some ground to stand on those to get rid of Shu and Wiso. And that should be Flashlux pushing back over towards the spawn as much as they possibly can. Minso goes forward looking for the pick, but goes low and has to kite back, but Kino is able to go ahead and finally get the kill on the Veil.
It's weird to see Fleta on the Sombra in this situation because obviously you don't have a lot of health packs to work with on the attack in this situation, and you're not going to have the EMP early. He has it now, so this is an opportunity for them to use that to flip the point. They already have 2 ticks. And here he comes with said EMP available.
Drops it down, trying to kill on the Neko, but Shu has also fallen off screen. Now the sound barrier around here from the side of the Fox is only clipping onto a few members, so not the maximum value they would have liked. They can still sit in and get the delay, especially as they pop Wiso out of that mech and also eliminate Veil. So Foxes will be holding on at the moment here, but it's still the 2 ticks that were gained for Flashlux. So if they get any ground here on point A, they can very swiftly take this, get some time on the bank, and start advancing through the streets.
I like the Fleta swap off the Sombra. I just don't think it's really strong in this situation if you're up against, say, a Zenyatta, where you can get these backline picks maybe to start flipping the point, but I prefer this approach to actually use, you know, his Pharah for the first time in this series. Try to use the high ground advantage over the defensive dive comp. Still has a actually decent amount. He's built up on that barrage as well, very quickly to 45%. They're going to have the big 6 soon. They need it.
That's a good pick off onto Kino there. Pulse Bomb coming out from Veil, not going to be finding anything in the meantime. Minzu drawing out the Dragon Blade will just be met by that Transcendence from Shu, but Rhea has actually killed Veil with the self-destruct. So it's not without nothing here for the side of the Foxes. Sound barrier thrown down from Flashlux, investing both of their support ultimates into this push to try to just go ahead and close it out right here, right now. A few more seconds onto the point alone will just buy it for them and enter into the street space. But NC Foxes don't want to go down without a fight. They want to drain as much time off this clock as they possibly can. But getting the pick there onto Rhea will just go ahead and confirm the cap. 3.5 minutes for the side of Flashlux, but they need a very fast Streets face if they want to match the time of NC Foxes.
I mean, they can't bleed off a minute, basically, if they want to match the time, which is so difficult to do. They used a lot to capture this as well. Weeso had to use his self-destruct, Oberon, of course, with the Primal Rage. So not only did Foxes buy some extra time with that hole, but they forced ultimates to be essentially wasted for the side of Flashlight. So would have liked to be holding on to those for the extended street phase. Might not necessarily have those when they get to the toughest part of the capture, which is right next to the checkpoint itself. So Minsu switching over now to the Soldier here. Doesn't want to keep running Genji dive against the comp anymore. Up the Pharah. Wants to shut out in the high air, I guess the high ground, the flying DPS here. Struggling with my words for a moment, but yeah, that's the idea, is to shut down the Pharah.
Fleta's looking for the angle here, trying to get around the defense matrix grabs. There's not that barrage, finds Neko right as the sleep dart comes through, so not a great value for it. But we'll see. Flashlights are still coming up with more kills as Rhea will fall. Fleta back up into the air, trying to finish off his final support, but Kino comes to the Hyuk's rescue and finishes them off. But a lot of distance has been gained onto this payload by Flashlight, so it is very swift, which is exactly what they needed. Minsu turning around, finds Veil with attack visor, but that's about it.
This is suddenly a really poorly coordinated defense. We saw the pulse bomb attempt right into the D.Va eat, and remind you, this was him alone, the only alive player trying to 1v6 with the pulse bomb. Even if he gets a kill, it accomplishes nothing. Then we see Minsu pop the attack visor, perhaps getting a little bit hyped about the defense matrix being down off cooldown, but two ultimates wasted there for the Foxes, and a risky time to have those gone as self-destruct's coming back online, and they're looking for this checkpoint.
Well, that's going to be the sound barrier out from the side of Flashlights, pushing in. They want to go ahead and get the close off so they have a decent amount of time to work with as they get ready to move into the Foundry, but losing out onto Shu is not going to be doing them any favors. Will also massively delay his Transcendence from coming back up as Kino picks up the double kill, getting rid of Fleta. Still dashing around the ground, has that pulse bomb ready to go, but doesn't find its target. Already lost out on too many members, so they will go ahead and just pull back towards point A.
Time's ticking down, man. You know, we had such a great quick cap for the Foxes. They did struggle towards the end, but the coordination was really good with Rhea using the self-destructs to hard engage. They had the Doomfist. Fleta switches over to it, speaking of which, to try to deal with this high ground defense we're seeing from Minsu.
Let's see what kind of performance he can have. Seismic Slam's not going to connect, goes in for the punch, but doesn't have the wall there to finish off Minsu. Takes him rather low and sends him sprinting away, but that's about it. There we go, finds the punch in onto Kino. That's going to be one. Seismic Slam forward, gets rid of that Soldier 76, and now the sound barrier comes out from Foxes, so yet again, just a bit late to try to keep the DPS members alive, but Kino will be able to join in rather swiftly, and Minsu says, all right, you want to go toe-to-toe, I'll bring out my own Doomfist. You've already experienced it. So let's see who comes out on top. Meantime, Rhea will go down, popped out of the mech. But Pumple's just sitting in onto this point, trying to keep it in contention, make sure he can't advance.
Time.
Oh, dies right as he gets the Primal Rage.
If he gets that Primal Rage, totally different situation here. So a nice grab there. Looks like Flashlux is going to shove this in, getting consistent picks now. The Foxes overextended a little bit just to burn down that time. But already, worst case scenario for the Foxes, they're up about 30 seconds in time bank. So already big wins for them. They were able to buy a lot of time, stave off these pushes. And Minsu, so far, he's been the better Doomfist, I feel, of the two. But Fleta has that Meteor Strike available. It's still he wants to use it.
Looking for the charge here, doesn't find anything. So says, you know what, I'm just going to cancel that one rather than overextend. Moves to the side with the Seismic Slam, looking for another one. Finds the hit in on Kino. Now Meteor Strike coming out immediately. Can he get it? Yes, he does. Gets rid of Minsu and just gets the uppercut down onto Neko. Very swift triple kill coming through by Fleta on his own, and the payload will keep moving. They're already below half the amount of time that Fox has had on the clock during their finish, so Flashlights desperately need this as quickly as possible, but their backs will still be up against the wall when we go to the overtime round.
And this could certainly be a full hold, or it's not a full hold, but the prevention of completion here on this third point. Minsu has Meteor Strike. They can try to pair it with Rhea with the self-destruct.
He's already gotten rid of Fleta. We'll see the self-destruct toss into the air there by Rhea, looking for the pick, finds Coma. The Transcendence not enough to keep him alive, and Weeso also gets popped out of the mech as Kino follows up for the kill onto the Baby D.Va. That's with 35 seconds remaining, and Minsu has been able to just hold on to this Meteor Strike all the while long.
Fleta switched onto the Widow. They want to try to rush back to this point ASAP. He's going to be looking for those headshots here. Oberon has the Primal Rage. Weeso's going to have self-destruct in an extended fight. They have one chance to make this happen. No delay tactics for Pumple or Rhea. They popped everything trying to defend there to get the prevention of completion, but still, better tools for delay here on the side of Flashlux.
Well, that's going to be them pushing forward. Nano Boost has already been thrown out there now. Sound Barrier coming down. Minsu looking for the Meteor Strike. Doesn't find
Taken
anything,
out
but
immediately.
Fleta has been taken out. But yes, as he comes down from the ultimate, Koma is able to follow up with the kill, and it's just an all-out brawl as Vale keeps the payload in
The
contention on
sleep
the
by
backside.
Luiso! He's the one they need so badly because they already lost Oberon, no Primal Rage.
But
he
it's
wakes
okay.
up.
It's honestly okay because Vale is the one who's drawing all the time, and he is still alive. The Orb of Harmony was enough to just allow him to stay in on top of the payload the entire time, and now Foxes have to try to regroup if they want to get this hold. Self-destruct comes through, not going to be finding the kill, just gets the push away in onto Shu, but two members go down. Pulse bomb in on the Fleta, gets rid of him. They don't have a Lucio, and it just plummets, and Foxes will pick up another win now on King's Row and move to match point.
And they won the battle basically by disorienting, I would say, disjointing the team fight there for Flashlux. And how was it going to ever be a proper fight when you are running the Widowmaker, you've got the staggered respawns? They had the two greatest tools for the two tanks that you could ever want to force the finish, which was the self-destruct and the Primal Rage. The self-destruct came out first, even after the sleep, but the Primal Rage was shut down twice, and they just couldn't ever get control with the slow respawns coming in for them. They have to run the longer distance back to get completion. We saw Fleta trying to play some Widowmaker, didn't really do anything, died immediately, switched over to the Soldier, and really, we say that was the last push, but really their last push was the push just prior, because with what they brought to the table trying to make that push happen, I mean, it was never going to work.
It was so close there, and it was great heroics by Vale, buying as much time as he did. The lone Tracer on that payload goes low, finally gets the Orb of Harmony from Shu to help keep him alive, but just wasn't enough in the end. But it was a great effort by him. Bought so much time, but because of that, the overtime meter just absolutely plummets at the end of that.
You know, Foxes come out of challenge, and they are already putting Flashlux down at the bottom of the scoreboard. It's got to feel rough when one of your easiest opponents you've had in your Apex career is 2-0 against you.
Yeah, it's not looking good for them, but we're going to be going to a quick commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we'll see if NC Foxes can close out for our fourth 3-0 match in a row here at Apex Season 4, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
에너지가 필요한 순간 핫식스와 함께 핫하게 즐겨라. 올여름 가장 핫한 리그 오버워치 핫식스 에이펙스.
Game, record, and stream without compromise.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are at match point yet again here tonight in our second series as NC Foxes have been able to pick up the first two. Lijiang Tower going the distance all 3 rounds, won by them. Then Kings Row able to get the hold just in front of Point C versus Flashlux, who now have their backs against the wall.
The Flashlux coach has had a grimace on his face since the start of the series.
Since the start of Season 1.
Since the start of Season 1. I mean, since the team was formed, before they even went to qualifiers. But now, I mean, we talk about career stats. It's 2-0 the first time this team has played at Apex versus 4-28 for Flashlux. And, I mean, everyone is frowning. The morale is clearly low. And for the side of the Foxes, not only did they have a win on the tough map Control Tower, that was their toughest one, they put in a sub, and he killed it. Ria's got a smile on his face. We talk about the tank shot caller. Foxes look to close out this series, and we're going to find out where we're going to potentially have our last game of the night. It's Hanamura.
All right, well, we saw Volskaya in our first series, going to be Hanamura. And I think that if we've learned anything from these two teams playing against each other so far, Wolf, it's that 2 capture point could be absolutely insane.
It could be a slugfest. Yeah, it could be a dirty one. We'll find out as we head into this. But I don't the expressions of the players, and we don't talk about this very often, but it doesn't breathe confidence into me about what they're feeling going is. Look at the stark contrast between the rookie team, the challenger team that sets foot in the booth for the first time, and what we just saw from Flashlux, expression-wise, the veterans of this league. They have played in every season, and they have fallen short every time. And this time against a challenger team, they fall even shorter, it feels. 0-2 so far.
We'll see if they can turn things around, make this a series, or if we will yet again have another 3-0 here today. 2 of them just 2 days ago would be 4 in a row if the Foxes pull it off. So let's see what happens as we dive into potentially our last map of the night. It's Hanamura.
get it?
Alrighty. Here we go.
Here we go indeed. And I say that, you know, the Foxes are rookies and they're new players. We talked about earlier Hyuk and Kino being former Flashlux players. So they've been in the booth before. And it's always this weird feeling when you have a player, you know, like these who presumably, I mean, let's not presume, but let's say there's a high chance they were kicked from the roster because they were underperforming, and now they have the chance to shine on a new roster after going through challenges. It's the Effect story. Everybody remembers Effect was not good enough to make Meta Athena's roster, was relegated onto Bellum, and then eventually taken off of that roster as well. And then finally, when he was given the right team to shine, he looked really good. And I feel like we're seeing a little bit of that with Hyuk and Kino here. It's early days. It's only 2 games. They're not having the impact Effect did, certainly. But to defeat your old team here must be bittersweet in a weird kind of way.
Well, here we go. Flashlux starting things off on the attack. We will see Fleta over onto that Genji and Vale on the Tracer for the 2-2-2. Fox is on the defense, actually going to be having Minsu over on their own Genji as well. So pretty much mirrored compositions coming through just with the addition of the Ana. But we will see that first kill coming down as Fleta just melees Pumple to death. Looking for a little bit more. Need to go ahead and try to pop Rhea out of that mech to help them out. But getting Hyuk is just about as good as you could possibly hope for.
Yeah, really good discording and working with Fleta to actually get these pickoffs. He's always killing the Discord target. They're clearly calling them out here. So well done. Shu got picked off, but before he died, he gave that extra percentage-based damage, and that is going to be the first tick now for the Foxes. In fact, it might just be the full, or sorry, for Flashlux, it might just be the full cap.
It's starting to look that way. Foxes, yeah, not really in a position to get back, so they will just have to surrender this one. So that's going to be 7 minutes on the clock for Flashlux to try to get point B. So this will either be a very fast take, or we're going to be sitting here for a while.
Could be a while. I'm leaning towards myself. Suminsu is going to switch to the Doomfist yet again, actually looking for the dive down. No one scouts him out, so he gets a pretty decent amount of damage.
Yeah, just gets that punch coming through there. Has to try to retreat. Fleta has drawn out the Dragon Blade, looking for the Doomfist.
Didn't really gain anything from that, sadly.
Mitsu is still alive, and you can see they're shoved all the way back. Fleta finally getting taken down here as Kino finds a double kill. They're just about at least popped Wiso out of the mech. Pumple finished them off.
I mean, it's kind of a funny circumstance that you can't really be too mad about losing your Dragon Blade in this scenario. And I was going to say, there's one of 2 reasons why I used it so haphazardly. Either he was thinking of switching, which he did now twice, the Pharah and now onto the Doomfist finally, or he just knows they had nearly 7 minutes of time in the bank, so looking for a potential snowball tick gain here. But either way, it is going to be Doomfist on Doomfist here. The world is doomed on this map of Hanamura.
All right, well, that's going to be a nice opener there as they get rid of Neko. Fleta will get taken out despite the sound barrier coming through, but Vale is able to go ahead and pick up Minsu as well with that Pulse Bomb. Transcendence is thrown down here. So just have an exchange of them. Fox is trying to hold on to the point as that first tick still has not come through yet. Flashlux cutting back a little bit more, playing defensively. As yet again, they have plenty of time on the clock, and we actually saw Neko swap over to the Bastion for a moment there.
Yeah, just for a moment. He's going to swap again here. Kind of an interesting choice there, but I can't, I mean, obviously we have seen last-minute Bastion play out of players like Toby and IDK when you're like, oh, okay, this works, and it bought them a last-minute amount of time, but it's kind of a weird one. We can't really judge it because we didn't stick with it, but the ult lead is for the Foxes. The Flashlux are just going to have to try to build ult economy. Suminsu is always waiting here on the high ground to punish these move-outs. Doesn't actually get in there this time. Oh, spoke too soon.
Seismic slam down on Nakoma, who's completely surrounded. They just take him out. So, good communication, just keeping track of where everybody's at. It's a fast drop down.
They just want to get kills early with him so that the DPSs at range are not building ult economy. You know, Vale is looking to build up pulse bombs. Wiso building into that. The self-destruct. Is he okay? Well, this leads me to believe there are definitely some arguments and comms about what they should be playing.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out what he needs to go to, and okay.
You actually have to respect this, though. I actually, to be honest, I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often where people are just like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's have like a 10-second talk about this because this is clearly not working. And I mean, it's unfortunate. There are definitely huge drawbacks. Like, he lost his entire ult. He has to build now into this Zarya ult. He's starting it off slow. It burned a lot of their time, but we'll see how the results work out.
Seismic shove into the rocket punch. Not going to find the connection there, but the Meteor Strike is ready to go, and he's going to go ahead and throw it down, looking for a target. Drops in, but he drops on top of a Transcendencing Shu. Not going to be finding much.
But that's a big win. Transcendence takes longer to build oftentimes than the Meteor Strike, so
Very true.
self-destruct is used here as well. So it's going to be a 2-for-1 actually advantage Flashlux with this trade. Remember, they're not looking to win the game right now. They're looking to build ults to have combos later. The bigger bang is going to be the main one.
You say that, but maybe they are going for this one. They go ahead, throw out that self-destruct from Wiso. Veil is building up, nearly has the Deadeye. There we go, pops it. Looking for a target, but it's going to be Defense Matrix straight up into his face. So good reaction by Rhea. Go ahead and stomp him out. He'll go low, down to 13 HP. It will finally be finished off as Minsu finds a double kill.
Feels like a lack of patience by this move from Flashlux. They threw in the self-destruct, but there was no pairing with it. It was only after that effect had all worn off that we saw Veil try to get the Deadeye to work, when there was clearly a Diva available, clearly a Defense Matrix available, and they just wasted a lot of ultimates. If they had 6, or even close to 6 as we saw there, or maybe waited for Fleda's ult, then this could have done a lot more, right? But they saw blood in the water. They thought this is the moment, this is the opportunity, but they were wrong, and now they're going to have to burn a lot more time to get back to a similar situation in ults, and nothing to pair with the Graviton Surge that's about to be ready.
Oh, well, they got a really nice sleep dart there on the Fleta right as he rounded the corner, but got woken up by Pumple immediately. So is building up, has the Graviton Surge in just a couple seconds, but what can they do with it? AoE damage is not exactly stellar from the side of Flashlux at the moment. Meteor Strike, speaking of AoE damage, is there from Minsu, but just uses it to get out of dodge.
Yeah, doesn't want to just force it there and end up dying. I mean, he can just simply kill people with the Graviton Surge if he's high energy, but right now he's sitting at a fat 0, so he needs to make sure that he's at the perfect fight for it. Okay. We just saw that happen on TV.
That is definitely not what he was looking for. Fleta with a very uncharacteristic miss on that Graviton Surge. Gets absolutely nobody. And now it's a push forward there from the side of Yuck with that Transcendence, trying to keep everybody topped off. Will lose out on Takino. Keeps everybody alive in the meantime, as Foxes will go ahead and just kite back down onto the low ground. And Flashlux losing out on that Graviton Surge is just absolutely detrimental to them. They're looking still for a couple picks here onto Pumple as he has that Primal Rage ready to go, but it seems like he is just chasing and finishing off Shu to really put a stop to the push.
We talked about Flashlux's morale and their panic where they...
Oh my god, he barely got out of there.
Well, we talked about their panic where they paused. They spent about 10-15 seconds talking about compositions. They have like, okay, we got a huge time bank. How are we going to use it? We have enough time to build a Graviton Surge. That's the plan. And when you make a mistake like that one, you switch back onto the Doomfist, but when you make a mistake like that one, that's the kind of mistake that doesn't leave you through the series. That's on your mind for the rest of the night, no matter what happens. We go to Game 5 or no. And, I mean, Flashlux looks totally broken afterwards.
I mean, that is a bit of a tilter there. So Fleta yet again just going to be swapping through. Nano Boost coming down. They get the Sleep Dart down from Neko. Bionic Grenade kills Fleta. And oh dear, we're suddenly down to 40 seconds remaining on the clock.
Looks frustrated. This play is not the clean play we've known from him. We talked about how Fleta and Veil were basically the star DPSs for the team, and it felt like the rest of the team never lived up to that, especially Fleta with a massive hero pool. But we're seeing a big list of those heroes in this game. He keeps switching. He went in alone. No one was there with him. They have a lot of ults to use with it, but he just simply did not. And we need to see better coordination for the last 15-second push.
Yeah, I mean, he's been one of those players that everybody always said, like, oh, I wish that Fleta would be on a better team because Flashlux never had success. He never made it out of the group stage. But right now, Fleta is not playing like a player that deserves to be on a better team. He has just been a detriment in Hanamura right here. Minsu, however, going down is a nice opening, but they lose out onto Iso immediately as Flashlux is trying to force this overtime. Veil yet again getting jumped on with the Deadeye, gets the pop out onto the mech from Rhea, who does manage to get the self-destruct off, and it actually kills Fleta yet again as the sound barrier comes down from Coma. And now Flashlux have to be all in on this one, but they're getting stomped out. The Meteor Strike kills Veil, and that might just be it. 7 minutes to try to get point B. They get held the entire time, and NC Foxes are poised to take this set.
The Foxes probably have a weird feeling in mentality going into this one, as some Minsu did not play the perfect Doomfist, but when you're dealing with these really failed dead eyes that Rhea is shutting down so consistently. When you see that Graviton surge, I think everybody in the booth on the side of Flashlux is probably silent. No one wants to call him out. But on the side of NC Fox is probably somebody's laughing. You're saying, okay, they're tilted. What was that Graviton surge? Fleta switching again. And now, even though it looked like they had the greatest time bank of all time, you and I said, it feels like it's going to go to a longer when it went all the way. And you had to feel like right now, if you're on the Foxes, you probably feel like all you have to do is walk across the red carpet to victory, cross the finish line. It feels like this is going to be the stomp. You know the mentality is clearly shattered for Fleta. Maybe not for the whole team, but for Fleta specifically, it's clearly shattered. And you feel like, okay, I just defended a 7-minute time bank push, repeated pushes, swaps coming in. Is there anything else I can't do against this team? And we'll see what happens. This series isn't over, but it certainly looks over from the observer perspective.
Yeah, very much does. And I mean, just need that cap and then 33% on B. And it's just a shame. I mean, you know, Fleta and Vale were two players that were very much a pleasure to watch before, even though Flashlux had their struggles throughout the history of Apex. Those two were the shining lights on this roster. And seeing Fleta play like this is actually just upsetting because it's not what we have come to expect.
Yeah, if you're watching Fleta for the first time, your first thought is probably, I don't understand the hype. And let's be frank, this is not the Fleta we saw from seasons 1 to 3 and in the promotion tournaments.
Yeah. Well, let's see how they're going to manage here on the defense. Fleta back over onto the Tracer Veil, onto that Soldier. And Minsu, unsurprisingly, is going to be sticking in with this Doomfist as they start pushing in for the attack.
Fleta's going to be on the Tracer instead of the Genji, so a different approach to defense. That's being the variation of the approach to defense versus the Foxes.
Well, they already lose out on the Shu, so not a great start, but a trade back onto Neko is going to be a good one, so good target find there by Fleta.
Looks like Sun Su is looking for the pick on the Veil. Is going to get it, too. Yep. Just perfect understanding of where Veil was going to be. Stealth move here. This is going to be the cap, and they're going to have an equal time bank to work with now.
Yeah, another very swift cap coming through, so 7 minutes. Can Flashlux pull off the miracle hold? Like we saw from the side of the Foxes, the likelihood is very slim, you'd have to expect, so this could just be the beginning of the end here for this series. 33%, all that NC Foxes need to accrue on point number B. Point B.
Yeah, I mean, Flashlux gave that up because they knew that if there was a secondary cap, like the double cap or even a back cap potentially, they would have lost the game immediately. Yeah. So they just had to let that go. We're talking another 7-minute time bank. And Kino's looking for the pick here on the Mag. Will get it. This could be, I mean, just straight up it, man. I don't want to call this too early, but it's only Kino on the point. That's it.
That's Wiso and Oberon. Yeah, they've already been popped out. They are able to trade one back onto Wiso, or onto Rhea, as he gets knocked out. But look at the kills just coming through. That's the 33% in about 40 seconds. NC Foxes go ahead, they pick up B, and they will win the series 3-0, our second one of the night, 4th in a row here at Apex Season 4. And Flashlux, the veteran team in Apex, has been here from the start, will get taken down by the new blood.
I mean, we can't call this one a shocker, right? Especially after game number 1. Maybe we were thinking, oh, maybe this is going to be a close series, but going into this one, I think you had to paint Flashlux as the underdogs because they always disappointed. And today I feel like it was Fleta who really just fell apart. We had a camera shot of him several times where you could see he wasn't speaking, he wasn't talking. The Graviton surge mistake, sure, that's one big one, absolutely, that really led to the demise, but there were several small things like his Doomfist just going in solo queue 1v6. We saw him do that about 4 times. His constant switching of heroes, his clear arguments with the team about what comp to run when they had the 7-minute time bank. And here he is pictured on camera, silent again. No one is happy. Flashlux, remember, they have a tough group with the Uncia and Panthera teams to run into later on. And going to be awkward handshakes from the former Flashlux players here, Hyuk and Kino, as they head into the booth. But they dominated, and Rhea looks to be a great shot caller on the Diva.
Yeah. And it's just a shame. I do genuinely feel bad. Flashlux, this is probably, again, their best chance to make it out of the groups into the round of 8. But with this loss, you know, not picking up a single map, at least being competitive on Lijiang, it just seems like maybe these guys are destined yet again to be at the bottom of the standings of their group unless they can get themselves together, because I don't like talking ill of Fleta or Vale.
Yeah.
There wasn't much ill to say of Vale, I suppose, in this series, but Fleta definitely did not play to the level that we wanted to see from him, that we expected from him, because he has always been one of the beacons of hope here for Flashlux.
I think
so. It just hurts that much more, and we have to be that much harsher because we've come to expect a lot from him.
Yeah, we've come to expect a lot more. And there were definitely communication issues, you could tell. The most egregious of all was when we saw the dive in and the use of self-destruct, and we saw the Deadeye come out afterwards, so very clearly D.Va was just going to come up and meet him at the top. Vale, of course, I'm speaking of. This was a messy series. They're not out of the group, but I think we have to lower expectations even further for this team after what we saw today. And on the opposite side of things, NC Foxes looked good. Rhea, great on the shot calling. They were mentality-wise very good, but they haven't really been tested yet. So if you're gotten on the hype train for the Foxes, let's hold off until they face off against the Kongdu teams.
Yeah. Certainly against Uncia. If NC can come up with a victory there, then they will be looking like chew-in for that second-place spot out of the group. But Flashlux, I'll take a look at the play of the game.
Oh,
from
Kalios.
All right, well, this isn't too
Probably
shocking.
the jump. Oh, no, not the jump. Rip.
Oh, this is going to be the one. Yeah, he's just going to scoop everybody up, I believe. Yeah, right here in the choke.
Yeah, watch. He's like, for this trick, I'll make them all disappear.
And they do. Just with the help of Reinhardt, they go ahead, knock them all out. So that was from our first series. If you guys missed it, Freaky Freaks Blue picking up a 3-0 as well. But yeah, NC Foxes, they could beat Kongdu Uncia. Seems like they would be the team moving out in that second place spot. But, I mean, nobody wants to see, I especially do not want to see Flashlux go 0-9 again here in Apex Season 4. It's never fun to watch a team get completely stomped out like that. So hopefully they can turn it around. Hopefully Fleta can find himself and, kind of be re-inspired to hit that level of performance that we saw from him before. But for now, it is another 0-3 loss for them. Double today. So Freakin' Freaks Blue pick up the win, and now NC Foxes.
And definitely no disappointment on the side of the Orcas today. If you missed the first series, it's definitely worth a watch. There were definitely moments where you could see the lack of coordination that Freakin' Freaks Blue has, because obviously, surprise, surprise, they're a less standing roster. In fact, Gigery playing her first televised match today was not on the roster that pushed through challengers. So I feel like, for Orcas, we can set the bar a little bit higher than maybe we would have thought going into the series.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have to agree with you. Orcas did put up a bit of a fight there. So there was, clearly some issues, but things that can be worked on. So looking forward to seeing them bounce back from that loss. They didn't seem disappointed at the end of it. But looking forward to our next matches here on Friday. Same place, same time. It's going to be Metabellum, or Bellium, depending on how you want to pronounce
Who you ask, yeah.
Going up against Conbox. And that could be a very difficult one for them, as they didn't have the greatest showing on their launch. But then we'll have Lunatic High coming back in for for Apex Season 4 reigning champions, going up against MVP Space, now the sole MVP team that we have here in Overwatch.
I mean, MVP, you could draw a lot of parallels to Flashlux in terms of their performance, but they weren't able to consistently stay in. Some have swapped positions with their sister team, Infinity, now dissolved. And, that series, I mean, two-time defending champion against Space could be a stop, we'll see, but I want to see where Space stands with an updated roster and, in this new meta.
I also want to see if Lunatic Kai is going to be bringing out the likes of Who Are You? So perhaps we could see him. They've already confirmed that he is still on the roster and will be playing. So very good chance that we could be seeing him on Friday. So definitely some games that you want to tune back in for. We'll see how Conbox is going to manage without Gamsu on the roster.
Yeah, definitely going to be a new roster. A lot of changes going into Season 4, new teams and potentially new breakouts.
A lot of shuffling around.
Yeah. So, I mean, with obviously...
I'm just going to leave my hair like that. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, your hair's been like that. I was going to tell you, but I was like, how do I tell him? It's going to be weird.
It's like I'm like a parrot or something. I've got the hair going on.
A little cockatiel hair going on. But yeah, I mean, with Overwatch League on the horizon, players getting picked up and whatnot, I mean, there's always going to be shuffles for the rest of the year. So it's exciting, though. I feel like you get these almost fan-created rosters in your head, and you think, what if he was on this team and he was on that team? And, I think they would work really well together, and, that kind of roster shuffling is always very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, and then that's just, of course, even happening even more now that Overwatch League is a thing. It's like, oh, well, what if you combine these guys? This could be the strongest six-man roster. So it's a lot of that going around, but Season 4, we've had plenty of roster shuffles. So far, some of them working out pretty great, some of them not so much. We'll see more of them on Friday when we come back for more Apex action.